Five-star freshman Dylan Mingo will visit this weekend in stores. This is a huge priority for Dan Hurley and company. You're on the Hoops Gap.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby. Home of the champions. Let's go.
Welcome into the Hoops Cap Pod. I'm your host, Mark Zanetto. First off, thank you for everybody who's been subscribing, watching, downloading. It really means a lot to all of us. If you haven't hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, do it now. Go download the audio versions on, I think we're on like 6 or 7 different platforms. Apple, Spotify are the two big ones, Amazon, Odyssey, the whole deal. Go download that so you never miss a moment of the Hoops Cap Pod or anything we've got coming on Big East Energy Network. Please feel free to subscribe to all of our shows because not only does it keep you informed about the Big East happenings around the league, but it helps me as the owner of the whole thing. So if you're a fan of me, download all of the shows on your audio stuff. All right, so this is a big show for us because, initially I really had a hard time believing that Dylan Mingo was going to be close to a Husky, but from all intents and purposes, people I've talked to behind the scenes, this is a big priority for Dan Hurley and staff. Does that mean that he's a lock? I don't think so. But let's talk about what he is. And he is absolutely going to be given, I don't want to say the royal treatment because I feel like they do a great job of kind of creating this culture of, you're coming to UConn. It's not like we have to impress you. But there still is this aspect of, even when you're the big dog, that you do kind of have to impress some of these guys. And give a shout out to our friend Ian O'Connor, who wrote the book with Dan, and that's coming out soon. You're starting to see some of those quotes that have been leaked, in the media, some of which are similar to, that essentially saying that Dan is burnt out, having to re-recruit everybody all the time. And, am I a banker or am I a basketball coach? So there definitely is an NIL fatigue for sure, but I think what they're trying to continue to do is find guys who are just hoopers, that the money will take care of itself. And Dylan Mingo is one of those guys. When you watch him play, he plays with a quiet intensity that's like a Steph Castle, but I'm not making that prediction. I have another name that I'm going to throw out there for you guys, and when you watch some of the highlights that we're going to show on the show later, I think you'll see what I mean. But let's talk about him. He's a 6'4", 5-ish guard with a 6'10" wingspan, a natural playmaker with the length and versatility and the ability to get wherever he wants with the ball in his hands. He can create for himself. He can create for others. He rebounds at a high level. He's a disruptive enough defensively from a steals perspective. Fran Fraschilla, I believe, maybe it's not Fran because I know he's in Kansas right now watching the Jayhawks. I think it was somebody else, but that's the name that's stuck in my head. So scratch that. But I read that, I'll look it up later. It might have been a scout, but either way, they were talking about when Dylan Mingo was going up against Darren Peterson, who was the number one recruit in the country this year, how he essentially shut him down at the end of a game and then took the ball, got fouled, and made 2 free throws to win for his AAU team. So up against the top competition at his position, he was able to kind of step up when it mattered. Doesn't turn 17 until October of his senior year, which means he's got plenty of room to grow. And that's the type of upside that UConn has thrived on. He is absolutely a prototype for what Dan Hurley's looking for. So how good is this visit feel for UConn fans? Let's not, talk about this as it's a one-horse race, because from who I've talked to in the scouting world, 247 on 3 folks, there's multiple teams in the mix. And I know UConn fans are going to say, well, it has to be UConn of these teams, because none of these teams that I'll mention have won a national title in the last, I'm trying to think of when, 40 years. Yeah. NC State is one of them, right? And that's the only team on this list that's won a national title in college basketball. Raleigh's a basketball town. I'm close to it. It's also, if you listen to Curry Sage Hicks, I don't remember the full name, but the guy who does Search Season, who's done a lot of these podcasts with coaches, anonymous podcast, and it's all audio. his Will Wade podcast, he talks about that almost weekly, if not monthly, about how NC State fans bought that so much that he's going to, put his kids through college. And he was joking around, but the reality is NC State is chomping at the bit to have a winner. And Will Wade is the absolute type of guy that can make Dylan Mingo believe that coming to Raleigh and beating Duke, beating North Carolina, being the king of the hoop state, not the basketball capital or the hoops capital of the world, but the hoop state in North Carolina. I mean, do any of the guys from a couple years ago in 2024 when they made the Final Four and for NC State, none of those guys would have to pay for a meal in Raleigh if they walked into a restaurant, because that's how hoops craze that this town is for them. Does it mean he's going to go there? Does that mean he's going to be the cornerstone for that team? All I know is NC State has a lot of NIL, and Will Wade would try to make that happen by hook or by crook. So that to me is a very disconcerting that he's on the list, because Will Wade is not someone you should trifle with in terms of getting recruits, because there have been reports allegedly that Will Wade was doing some nefarious things even prior to NIL being a thing. So I have no ill will towards Will Wade. I wish him the best, especially here for Wolfpack fans that in my adopted state of North Carolina. The Washington Huskies. Washington is pitching that opportunity. They've got roster space. They need a centerpiece guard. And with a move into the Big Ten, potentially they're selling, or they are in the Big Ten. They're selling Mingo on being the face of the program that needs a real leader. And then our old friends who we beat in the Final Four a couple years back, the Miami Hurricanes. They had Jai Lucas, the new head coach, who's up and coming. Was with Duke as a recruiter, taking over for Jim Larrañaga. They're kind of a guard factory. The system is up tempo. I think they're going to be similar to an NC State or even like an Auburn, where they're going to try to really, get as much talent as possible and see what happens. Miami's NIL is through the roof. So, famously, we know that Cam Spencer turned down more money from Miami to come to UConn. And if you read some of the excerpts from Dan's book, a lot of guys turned down money to come play for him. Steph Castle's one of them. So maybe Dylan Mingo's this kid. I'm trying to get a beat on that with some folks, and kind of, is he going to be more an NIL guy, or is he literally trying to get better and learn from, the best coach in college basketball right now, which is Dan Hurley. So UConn is, I feel like they have to be the favorite of this group, right? It's where, tradition and winning speak louder than any pitch or any type of NIL money. UConn has always been a guard school, but smaller guards, Kemba and Shabazz. And then, we start going into the newer realm of Tristan and Steph Castle, Cam Spencer. The DNA of the program is built on that versatility, right? Tough guards, guys who know how to win, guys who are clutch. These are all things that Dylan Mingo has been associated with. And by the time Mingo gets to campus, I think the backcourt will have quite a bit of turnover. If Braylon Mullins is as advertised, if Silas Demery is as advertised, both of those guys could go pro. Malachi Smith doesn't have another year of eligibility, so he'll go pro. I think we were going to see Jacob Furphy for a couple of years, but I think you would slide Jacob over obviously more to a wing and kind of almost like an emergency style point guard, because that's what he's going to be this year. I think Dylan would parlay nicely with another potential recruit in Cole Kluwer, having a nice wing. Terrace Reed's probably going to go pro. Maybe Jalen Stewart has a big year and he goes pro. So this year is going to be an incredible year for UConn. The 25-26 team is loaded, but that 26-27 team, because obviously that's when Dylan would come, they're going to need a head of a snake. They're going to need a Tristan Newton. They're going to need a point guard who can carry them, a la Steph Castle. I think he would be foolish to pick another school, because it's not like you're going to a school that's going to have a backlog and then, coach is going to promise you playing time, which Dan doesn't do. But either way, it may look like right now that it's a crowded backcourt, but man, if this year is anything like what we think it's going to be for UConn, that backcourt's going to dwindle pretty quick. So I think that's one of the main reasons. So that's really the race. Miami has the NIL advantage. Washington has potentially a P4 Big Ten spotlight opportunity. NC State has, hey, come be the face of essentially NC State basketball for a year, maybe 2 if he stays. I doubt he'll likely be a one and done. But UConn has all of that, plus the tradition, plus the recent national title success, plus the better coaching staff, and the stage to play in the Big East. I know maybe that's waned a little bit, but the reality is, guys, at the end of the year, if you're going to Madison Square Garden to play in a big time tournament, is that better than if you're playing in the Greensboro Coliseum or, somewhere in Charlotte for the ACC tournament or wherever the hell they play the Big Ten tournament? Maybe it's in the United Center in Chicago. Cool. But does anything match up with MSG for those 4 glorious days? No, it just doesn't. So to me, all of the ducks line up. We're going to do some intel behind the scenes to get some confirmation on a few things, but this is basically just a spotlight, why I think that this team, why I feel like this can be an opportunity for UConn to potentially grab essentially the best guard in the 26 recruiting class. So tell me what you think. Obviously, I'm going to play some highlights now and also talk to you guys really quick about we're doing big things at Big East Energy Network. BigEnergyMediaPods.com. It's where you can find it all. I have to update it because we've added a few new shows, including a betting show. We're going to do that during the season, obviously give you our best picks for the Big East every week. But now it's football season. And I know we concentrate on hoops on this channel, and rightly so. But Big Bet Energy is where you can find college football picks, NFL picks, even some specialty picks like a U.S. Open. U.S. Open men's and women's are finishing up, Ryder Cup, those type of things. And even it won't be from me, but if we can get some folks to guest host and really kind of take over that pod, maybe we can do some Premier League and some soccer stuff. I have no idea what I'd be talking about on soccer, like nothing. So if I'm giving you soccer picks, it's from somebody else. Let's just put it that way. We've also started a new channel, Big Football Energy. So if you're listening to this right now, stop what you're doing, pause this show, and go and subscribe to Big Football Energy. There will be a UConn show. The title of the show is the Rents Due podcast. I will be hosting that to start. I think I'm going to try to pass that off to a lucky co-host or host that wants to continue with it. So please, if you think about if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I love UConn football and I'd love to be a part of it, come on with it. The show tomorrow is going to be all on probably the biggest game of the year, week 2. Rents due, baby. Going up to Syracuse, and Big Football Energy will have you covered there. Really appreciate you guys. Let's check out some highlights from Dylan, and then we'll call it a day here. These don't have any sound to it, so I love the way that this kid plays. And I'm going to give you my comp right now. If you watch any of the NBA, Dylan Mingo reminds me of a raw version of Jalen Williams. He played at Santa Clara. He was a 6'5", 6'6"-ish. I think his wingspan is like 7'2", so even longer arms than Dylan. And who knows? The kid's only 17. He may end up growing an extra couple of inches, a la Scott Burrell in college. So who the hell knows, man? This kid could have a 7-foot wingspan by the time it's all said and done. But he just looks like an NBA guard right now. I know he's a kid. Just look at him. The way he does these little floaters, his patience, his pacing. The pacing reminds me of Steph, because a lot of times players that are really faster than everybody have a really good bag can kind of bully high school players that they're playing up against. But if you notice, he's crafty. He's very deliberate. I love his quick stroke, and it's got really great form. He has no problem passing the rock, as you will see coming up in some of these highlights. He's definitely a scorer, but he doesn't need to be the only scorer. And look, the kid's a baller. He's got all the tools to make it work. There he is shooting the rock. When his jumper is on, he barely touches iron. Look, there it is again. Look at this little sweet stroke. Bang. He's off ball right now, which is a really good thing, because in an offense like UConn's, you're not always going to be the primary ball handler. There'll be multiple, and Dan loves that versatility. This is him on the ball, quick little crafty little left-handed layup. And I love that about him because of his wingspan. He has the ability to do all of these things where he can go to the hoop and kind of give you a quick little flip, or he can step back and shoot the three, or give you a pull-up mid-range, or kind of get all the way to the basket on almost any play. So he definitely excels in the pick and roll, as you're seeing right here. And part of that is, think about it. If you're 6'5" and you have a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan, and you get in the lane and you rise up, your wingspan is already with some of the bigs that you're going up against. So on top of that, he's just is built different, like literally, not built different the way people say it. Oh man, that guy's built different. No, he literally is. Like, there's not too many 6'5" guys with almost a 7-foot wingspan that's playing guard or combo guard. So yeah, the kid's strong. He'll have to put on, if he puts on even a little more muscle, I mean, the kid will be a lottery pick for sure, wherever he goes. Hopefully it's UConn. Let's speed this up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, look, I love him getting out in transition and kind of getting the ball to his teammates, him stealing the rock and then getting it up ahead to his teammates again. Unselfish player, has a really great quiet intensity about him. But even if he was vocal, who cares? The guy's a hooper, and that's what they want. They want serious basketball players that can get after it, and that's what this kid is. Dylan Mingo this weekend, people in stores, show him a good time. Not too good a time. Make sure he is serious about coming to UConn, and I think he is, guys. I think I'm going to put our chances of getting Dylan Mingo to over 50%. That's probably the first time I've done that, and I'm going to kind of ask around and see what these visits kind of turn out. So I'm going to let the visit happen. I don't think he commits. None of these kids commit early anymore, and if they do, it's kind of like an outlier. I get all messages all the time. It's like, are we gonna get such and such player? It's like it's a weird year. No one's committing early. And I think you're going to see, once a guy commits, you're going to see a whole bunch of dominoes drop. Maybe Mingo's that guy. All right, we'll see you next time on the Hoops Cap.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby.